Yeah, I mean, it's like my goal was not at this point in my career to say, you know what, now I want to be a marketing guy. I want to figure out how to market my own brand to the demographic. I mean, that shit is as boring to me as it is hearing myself say it just now. But nobody else is going to do it, so you can sit around and fade away, or you can sign a new contract with a company that has no idea what they're doing, or you can realize, hey, it's the Wild West right now, and someone's got to figure it out. Let's just try it and see what happens. So
Right.
anyway, enough of that.
Okay. Number 4. The Still album featured deconstructed and new pieces of music that showcase a softer side to 9 Inch Nails. Do you have any interest in creating another album like Still in the future? And what are some of the more recent songs that you could see reconstructed to be like Still? And how do you think combining elements of Still and Ghost would work as its own tour? One question.
That's something I've thought about quite a bit. I mean, Still was an inspiration, certainly, for Ghosts. And the idea of Still really came from me being really sad and really broken down. And trying to make something that sounded that way. Anyway, when we got around to Ghosts, it was just, I remember having, not that I had fun making Still, but I liked the kind of beauty that it had in it. And again, that was kind of the archetype for Ghosts, and we just wanted to make a record that sounded like rainy day soundtrack kind of thing, in general. And I've often thought, it was nice on the Licensed Sky Tour to be able to work some of Ghosts into the middle and just kind of graft it into a rock show, and I think that worked pretty well. But it seems like it would be cool to do something that is like what you said, a stripped down, kind of based on the Bridge School benefit thing that I did. And that was also a big inspiration on Ghosts. Because when I got asked to do that, I was very flattered because I'm a huge Neil Young fan, but I was also terrified because I didn't have any idea how I would pull off an acoustic situation. So, putting together that kind of string quartet type thing, I thought yielded some pretty cool results, and that was literally thrown together in a weekend. So the idea of taking something like that that's not a rock show is appealing to me. We've talked, management and I've talked about doing something like that, but it just, the timing hasn't been right so far. And that may be something that you see in the next couple of years. I'm sure a month of being off tour, I'll have watched everything I needed to on TV, and now I'm going to be ready to do something. So we'll see what it is.
Interesting. Any Ghost songs for the next tour, or can I say?
We worked up a bunch, and I've kind of just thrown them off the list in the last few days, and that may change, but it really felt like it was kind of, they don't belong in the set that we have right now, and I was kind of forcing my hand to throw them in there, and a couple might pop into it, but that's not really the vibe of what, there's some surprises coming on this tour, but the Ghost thing kind of felt like it needs to rest right now.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, number 5. You recently asked your followers on Twitter for cover song suggestions for the upcoming Ninja tour. What kind of results did this yield, and was there anything that really stood out to you? And what were some of the more outlandish ones?
There was, that was right kind of when I was first getting my head around Twitter, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of engage the community on something, and I have to admit I was quite surprised by the range of stuff. Because we talked about, well, I'll just be honest with you. We talked about doing some things collaboratively with Jane's Addiction. And I thought, I can think of the same 10 kind of songs that I've always wanted to cover, but I thought, let's see if we ask a bunch of people what happens. A lot of them were stupid, but there were a lot of pretty cool things I never would have thought of, or that when I would see a suggestion reminded me of something I wouldn't have come up with, And at the moment, I can't think of a single thing that falls into something I could mention as a good idea to cover, but what ended up happening with the collaborative Jane's thing was, I don't think it's going to happen, and it's not because of us. Let's just leave it at that.
All right.
So we have a few cover things that we're working on for this tour, but we also found that we have so much material of our own that we don't really need to embellish with too many other things. But there are a few surprises where I know I'm not answering much here, but I don't want to give it away before we've done it. So
We'll begin seeing them in a couple of days. Just have to wait till Friday for a
yeah,
story. Not that long. Us Nin fans should be used to, waiting really long. 3 days was
yeah,
Tuesday.
quit your bitching, man.
Three,
You've
three
had
days. 3 days
years.
is nothing to us. Well, at least nothing to like the older fans, like the newer fans. They're so used to 2 albums in the same
Spoiled
year.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
punks. All right, number 6. Years ago, you mentioned you wanted to release The Fragile in surround sound by 2009. Given that this year is the 10th anniversary for The Fragile, as well as the 20th year anniversary for Pretty Hate Machine, do you have any plans to commemorate either or both releases, like The Downward Spiral in 1994, 2004? Or is there just too much red tape involved? And what other elements besides the music would you want to include?
Well, there's a part of me that would like to do the very best versions of those that we could. Certainly to be able to make stuff you've done. What am I trying to say? To be able to really add to the canon of your work. If you have a great definitive version of things, certainly would be cool to do. There's another side of me that feels like it's wasting time looking backwards instead of looking forwards. And there was a time, certainly when I was afraid to write, where it felt like, oh, it'd be great to look back because I don't have anything that's pushing on me to go forward at the moment. I want to feel like I'm busy, but at the moment, that's one wordy way of saying I'm not sure. There's part of me that wants to do it. There's another part of me that doesn't really want to not waste, but commit the time
Right.
to regurgitating that and getting back in, because it's not an easy process. That would mean, let's say for The Fragile, for example, what's happening on that is my friend Jeff Anderson, who has Artists in Residence that did the Ghost package with us. Jeff used to work at Interscope and was our A&R guy at Interscope, and both of us were always frustrated by the fact that a battle that you constantly run into when you're on a record label is the argument of how much they allow you to spend on packaging. And you come at them with something pretty cool, they come back at you with nobody cares about packaging, and look at this 50-cent record that looks like shit and no one cared and they bought a bunch of them. And you try to say, yeah, but I'm not 50 Cent, and my audience, some of them would appreciate something that has aesthetic beauty to it. And it does matter to me if it's 4-color printing, and it does matter to me the quality of the paper, and it does matter to me the way it feels, and it does matter to me if it opens up this way. And that's like talking to a tree. You're going to get the same response. They don't understand it, they don't care, they just want to sell plastic, that's it.
All right, this is
So, exactly. And when Jeff left Interscope, he eventually started this new company that repackaged it. It does cool stuff. That's exactly what we wanted to. So they did a great Sugar Ross package. He's doing Pixie's thing. And we partnered on the Ghost package. And that's how we were able to get such excellent quality. And he lives and breathes for all the kind of things I just said. We'll come to you with 20 different kinds of bindings and touch them and feel it. And look at how it's woven into, stuff that he's that passionate about that thing as I am about whatever I'm passionate about. So he's called me up about doing a deal with Interscope to do The Fragile in that method, and that appeals to me. The other side of it is I'm not doing any favors for Interscope unless I get paid to do it, because that's that kind of relationship. And I'm not saying holding them hostage, but I'm not adding anything more to their bottom line of money they're going to make from me. Unless they pony up to pay for me to do it. And that may sound mercenary, and I would certainly like to have The Fragile, but I'm not doing any fucking favors for those guys, period. I'm done with that. So that's The Fragile. I think there's a good chance that might happen, and it may happen in the next year. I think when I said the 2009 thing, which I don't even remember saying, it was probably because I thought Interscope would think it would be cool to capitalize upon the 20th year